Hey, in every city, every block's got its own story. Sometimes the real legends ain't in the headlines. They're just out here, loyal as hell, doing what they gotta do. This is one of those stories about a dog named Max, who showed all of us what true loyalty really looks like, even when the city's drama is on full blast. Part 1. The city's pulse and George's world. The Bronx is a beast. Big old buildings on top of each other, streets packed with hustle, the smell of street food and the endless noise of sirens, horns. But George, he's just a quiet old dude. Been here for decades, watching the city grow and change. He don't mess with nobody, and nobody better not mess with old George. His spot? A small apartment on the 12th floor with a view of the streets below. A patchwork of life, love, and hustle. George's life was simple, but one day it got real. His routine: coffee from the corner bizzeria, a quick walk through the park with Max, and nights chilling in his favorite leather chair, listening to old jazz records. But the real OG in George's life is Max, his golden retriever with fur so shiny it's like spun gold, eyes full of loyalty, and a heart bigger than the city itself. Max has been with George through every season, the good, the bad, the ugly. You could just look at Max and see that he was special, and you could definitely see that Max loved George and George loved Max. They were an inseparable team, for real. It was a typical Bronx morning. Streets alive, people rushing past, street vendors shouting out their specials. George wakes up feeling kind of strange, like a weight pressing down on his chest, dizziness slowly creeping in. He shakes it off, mumbling, "It's nothing, I'm just still tired." But Max's nose is twitching, ears perked up, sensing something's off. He's watching George like a sniper. Max's instincts, next level. He's been with George long enough to know when something's wrong. The moment George sits up, Max jumps onto the bed, nudging his owner's arm, whimpering like he's trying to tell him, "Something's wrong, boss." "Relax, boy," George says, rubbing his eyes. "I'm just tired. I'll be fine." But Max's stare, that's a whole different vibe. Like he's seen this before. Like he's got a secret he's trying to warn him about. Fast forward a few hours, George is on the couch, clutching his chest, sweating buckets. His face, pale as concrete. The heaviness turns into pain, sharp, unrelenting. Max's eyes widen. He's never seen George like this before. Suddenly, George slumps forward, unconscious. Max is on full alert. No hesitation. He leaps onto the sofa, barking loud as hell. Urgent, raw, desperate. That bark? It's a call for help. You see, Max never barked. He was just like George. Always cool, always calm, and never loud. But seeing George like this freaked Max out. He jumps off the couch and runs dead smack into the wall. He bounces off the wall, falls, rolls over, gets up, and bam! He runs right back into the wall. By this time, Max is barking hysterically. He runs to the door and begins scratching the door and barking. He runs back over to George, barking and whimpering. Then he snaps. He knocks a lamp off of an end table. Then he takes his nose and knocks everything off of a coffee table. An empty coffee cup, a half-empty glass of orange juice, a cell phone, a tablet. They all go crashing to the floor. Max created such a ruckus, it sounded like a barroom fight. The entire time Max is barking louder than he ever has before. By this time, a neighbor is banging on the door and shouting, "Hey, George! Is everything all right in there? George, what's going on in there? Open the door." The neighbor kicks the door in and sees George unconscious on the floor. He pulls out a cell phone and dials 911. The operator says 911.
911, what's your emergency?
Shouts, "I think my neighbor George has had a heart attack. Are you at the Bronx Commons on 161st, apartment 212? Yes, ma'am. How did you know that? An emergency activation alert signal was sent to us already. EMTs should be arriving right now. Just as she said this, the EMTs arrived at the apartment. The neighbor, thinking out loud, said, "I've never seen help arrive this quick." "Step aside, sir," one of the EMTs shouted as he began chest compressions on George. Max lies close to George, whimpering like he's trying to wake him up. His heart pounds, not just from adrenaline, but from pure, raw loyalty. "Good boy," one paramedic whispers, kneeling to pet him. Outside, like nothing has happened, the city's still moving. Horns blaring, street vendors hawking, people rushing, oblivious to the life hanging in the balance inside that apartment. Inside, they lift George onto the stretcher, Max following. Tail low, but eyes locked onto George's face, unwavering. In that moment, loyalty, love, and raw instinct blend into one. George wakes up days later, the sterile smell of disinfectant filling his nose. His head's pounding, but his eyes, they lock onto Max, sitting quietly, loyal as always, eyes shining with relief. "Max!" George's voice is hoarse but full of emotion. "You called for help, didn't you, buddy?" Max's tail wags weakly, like he's saying, "I got you, boss." The doctors explain it was a heart attack. Sudden, brutal, a harsh reminder that life can change in the blink of an eye. "Yes, sir," the doctor said. "This is some dog you have here. He activated your emergency alert signal on your wall. Not once, but twice, and by the look of your wall, he almost ran straight through it, trying to push that button. And your neighbor said there was so much noise coming from your apartment, he thought for sure you were fighting a burglar." George looks at Max, feeling a flood of gratitude. That little act, Max hitting the button on the wall twice, barking and creating chaos in the apartment, saved his life. And in that moment, George's whole world shifts. Max didn't hesitate. He called for help, risking his own safety for his human. That's not just a dog. That's family. That's loyalty that runs deeper than words. Lying there in the hospital bed, George's mind shifts to the city, the streets, the noise, the grind. None of that really matters. But what really matters? It's the bond, that loyalty, that instinct, Max's raw and real love. That is what really matters. When George gets out, everything feels different. Every breath, every beat of his heart, every moment with Max, precious. They sit on the balcony, watching the city, alive, loud, unforgiving. But within this small space, loyalty reigns. He pets Max, whispering, "You're more than a dog, Max. You're my hero." Max leans in, wagging his tail slowly, knowing he's loved, truly loved. Word spreads. People in the neighborhood talk about Max, the dog who hit the emergency signal, who refused to leave his owner's side. Max becomes a legend, a symbol of loyalty, love, and sacrifice in a city full of chaos. George, he's proud. "This city," he says, "it's full of stories. But mine, Max's, that's the real deal. Loyalty that saves lives. Love that never quits."